We are busy with the Arbiters Manual 2022 of FIDE, and we are busy with section 7, Irregularities. So 7.1, if an irregularity occurs, the pieces have to be restored to a previous position, and the arbiter can then determine if times need to be corrected. So this is typically where you found between two players that something is wrong, irregularity occurred, there was a claim, and then you will move it back. You might even have to use notation to take it back. 7.2.1, if during a game it's found the initial position of the pieces was incorrect, so the queen's on the wrong place, the bishops, the rooks, the game shall be cancelled and a new game shall be played. So that's quite horrible. This error, of course, must be discovered before the game have a result, otherwise it will stand. 7.2.2, so it's very technical. 7.2.2, if during a game it's found that the chessboard has been placed contrary to Article 2.1, in other words, the colors of the squares on the wrong place, you know, the corners don't have the correct black color or white color, you know, then it has to be transferred to a correct placed chessboard. So fortunately, the game doesn't have to be played over, but yes, it has to be transferred over to a correct board. 7.3, if a game has started with colors reversed, if less than 10 moves have been made by both players, shall be discontinued, new game will be started. So that's also pretty horrible. These things typically don't occur if the arbiters and players make sure the boards are set up correctly. After black has made move 10, the game shall continue, otherwise a new game shall be played. It doesn't matter what the current position on the chessboard is and how many pieces or pawns have been captured even. If a game with reversed colors has ended by normal means, in less than 10 moves, then the result will stand as well. Okay, so let's hope this will never happen. It's quite scarce. 7.4.1, if a player displaces one or more pieces, he shall re-establish the correct position in his own time. So that's, you know, oops, you know, you knock over pieces and things like that. 7.4.2, if necessary, you might even stop the clock and ask for assistance. 7.4.3, the arbiter may penalize the player who displaces the pieces. You know, so that's, you know, where it's typically intentional. As mentioned here, most of the issues might occur when it's rapid or blitz, you know, when it's fast play. More often than not, it's not deliberate. 7.5.1, an illegal move is completed once the player has pressed these clocks. So that's very important. So the a move is only illegal or typically illegal when the clock is pressed. So this is nothing to do with that section 1 to 5 where we said there's no clocks involved. As soon as there are clocks involved, when you press the clock, then it's illegal. If during a game it is found that an illegal move has been completed, in other words, the move has been made, doesn't seem to be legal, and the clock is pressed, well, then it's illegal. The position shall then be reinstated, so it must be moved to the correct position. If the position immediately before the regular act cannot be determined, so neither of the players have got a clue what the right positions were, the game shall continue with the last identifiable position prior to the irregularity. So there must be a bit of a discussion about where the move was still legal. Okay, so this is one of those unfortunate things where there's illegal moves and you cannot determine almost when it was and what the positions were. It's very important that irregularity must be discovered at least during the game. After the players have signed the score sheet or it is clear in either way the game is over, then corrections are not possible. Then the result will stand. When the irregularity is discovered during the game restarts from the restored position, so you move back until you know it was still legal. The touch move rules applies to the pieces to be played should be, if possible, to one first touched, either piece illegally moved or the piece captured. If the irregularity was caused by a check being missed, the touched piece shall be used to block the check or capture the checked piece if possible. You basically if you made a legal move, it must be rectified with a legal move. The move cannot be declared illegal until the player has completed his move by pressing his clock. So that, again, important, the completion is when the clock is pressed. So that's quite a principle that arbiters are familiar with, but sometimes players can get confused with. If an arbiter observes an illegal move, so in other words, the illegal move is, of course, when the clock was pressed, he doesn't have to wait for a claim. He can intervene immediately, but he must wait till the clock is pressed. It often happens that with new players, players are very eager, and player A might move a piece, and before you even press the clock, the opposing player might put up his hand and claim it's illegal. That's not illegal. The player A will actually be quite lucky because player B saved him from an illegal move. And then it's just a question of warning player A, not warning him, but telling him to be more careful, and it can still rectify it without it being an illegal move. So again, completion when the clock is pressed, and then only can it become illegal, only be declared illegal. 752, if the player has moved a pawn to the furthest distant rank, press the clock, the move is illegal. So he didn't promote properly. So it's an illegal move. It doesn't make sense. And the pawn shall be replaced by queen by default. So he will not have a choice anymore. 753, if the player presses the clock without making a move, it shall be considered and penalized as if an illegal move. So again, we already mentioned this, that if you don't make a move and press the clock, it's an illegal move. So it's good that the rules state that it's illegal. There's accidental things. If a player uses two hands to make a single move and press the clock, it will be an illegal move. This is now if you move the piece and press the clock. So you can even press the... so it's not to do with the pressing of the clock with the wrong hand. It's actually moving the piece with two hands. So it's like castling. You move the king with the one hand and the rook with the other hand, and then press the clock. Then it's illegal. Okay, 755, it's referring back to the previous clauses, saying what must happen after the action taken under these previous articles for the first completed legal move by a player. So after the first illegal move, the arbiter shall give 2 minutes extra time to the opponent. But for the second illegal move by the same player, the game shall be declared lost. However, the game is drawn if the position is such that the opponent cannot checkmate the player kings by any possible series of legal moves. Okay, so it's the possibility of checkmate, not the probability of checkmate. So if there's any possibility of moving any of those pieces to a checkmate, well, then it's a draw, not a lost game. So first move is illegal move, and a warning that on the second illegal move, the game will be lost. The player is forfeited if he completes two of any above illegal moves. However, when there are two illegal moves in one move, then it doesn't count only as one illegal move. So if you make a series of heavy illegal moves in one session before you press the clock, it doesn't mean it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 strikes and you're out. It still counts as one illegal move, and the play will be restored and a legal move must be made, and it will count as one illegal move. 7.6, if during game it's found that any piece has been displaced from its correct square, the position will be reinstated. Okay, we mentioned that again, the game shall then continue from its reinstated position. It's saying it's advisable that the investigation determined from which position the game shall be continued takes place by the two players and under supervision of the arbiter. That's where the word is arbiter. where the arbiter will help the two players to determine what must happen next. That was Article 7. Quite an important one as it's covering illegal moves. So illegal moves, we can see if we go back to 7.5.1, just to reiterate it. So the first one, 751, is saying once the players press the clock. 7.5.2 is about the pawn, the wrong promotion. 753 is we do not make a move and press the clock. 754 is we use two hands to move your pieces before you press the clock. And if you press the clock, it's illegal. And then 755 is saying, referring to these previous ones, what will happen if it's the first illegal move or the second illegal move. I hope you found this section helpful and understand it a little bit better about what's illegal moves and a little bit less doubt in your gameplay. Please hit like, please subscribe. It's really appreciated, it makes a big difference in me adding more videos. And enjoy the rest.